Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Anuta, the Crochet World, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe to my channel, like, share and comment on my videos. And today we're going to do this beautiful pattern for a jasmine stitch. Here it is. And for this project I've used my 100% cotton yarn, and for this one I've used a 4 mm of the hook. Here it is. But again, it's not required to use the same yarn and the same hook. You can use any of your yarn, any of your hook. This is just the stitch tutorial. And here it is. Now into this tutorial video, I have shared one tip to make this jasmine stitch a little bit easier. So please follow that tip, and here it is. So let's begin. So here it is. We will start with a slip knot. Now here for this jasmine stitch, we're not going to have foundation chains, but we're going to have our puff stitches as our foundation stitches. So here it is, heavy yarn and have a slip knot. We will start with a slip knot, and now we will start with foundation puff stitches, not foundation chains but foundation puff stitches. And there are no multiplications, so you can go as far as you want. You can go for up to as many puff stitches you want. So here it is, have this slip stitch and chain one. Now here we're gonna loosen up our work, so just lose your this yarn on your hook just like this, and now we're gonna yarn over for 3 times. So here it is, yarn over and insert your hook into this chain one here and grab a yarn. You're gonna have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over for 1 more time, insert your hook into this chain 1 space and grab a yarn, yarn over for the 3rd time and insert your hook into this chain 1 space and grab a yarn. And here it is. Now here you're gonna have 7 loops on your hook, so it's 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7. And now we are gonna yarn over and we will pull our yarn, but for that we will hold over this working yarn. So for that, to holding up over this working yarn, use your this thumb and your finger. So hold your yarn with the help of your thumb and your finger like this. So I'm going to hold it like this, and now I will yarn over and will pull my yarn through all 7 loops like this. So here, by holding up over this yarn, we are creating this little loop here. Now we're going to insert our hook into over this loop which we have just created here and grab a yarn. So yarn over and grab a yarn through that loop, and here it is, just like this. And now you're going to have 2 loops on your hook. Now yarn over and pull your yarn through both the loops, and this is your single crochet. You can count this as a single crochet. So here it is, this is your puff stitch. Now I'm going to go to this next puff stitch. So for that, again, I'm going to loosen up my work on my this hook. Here it is, like this. Now we are going to yarn over for 3 times. So yarn over and we will go to this single crochet. So here you can find your this gap, this one. We're going to insert our hook into over this gap. So here, yarn over for the 1 time, insert your hook into this space and grab a yarn. Yarn over for the 2nd time, insert your hook into the space and grab a yarn. Yarn over for the 3rd time, insert your hook and grab a yarn. Here it is. And now you're going to have 7 loops on your hook. So it's 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7. Again, we're going to hold over this working yarn. So hold your working yarn just like this, yarn over and pull your yarn through all 7 loops. And here it is. You're going to create a little loop here. Now we will insert our hook into over this loop just like this and yarn over and pull your yarn through only 1 loop. Here it is. And now you're going to have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull your yarn through 2 loops. Here it is. Again, we will go for our this 3rd puff stitch. So for that, loosen up your work, yarn over, go to this space, insert your hook, grab a yarn over for the 2nd time, insert your hook and grab a yarn over for the 3rd time, insert your hook and grab a yarn. You're going to have 7 loops on your hook. Hold your this working yarn with the help of your thumb and your this finger and yarn over and pull your yarn through all 7 loops. And here it is. And now insert your hook into this loop and grab a yarn and have 1 single crochet here. Now for this puff stitch, let's yarn over for 3 times. So loosen up your work and yarn over for 3 times. So it's 1 2 and 3. Now, if you think that it's difficult for you to hold up your yarn like this and then pull your yarn over and then pull your yarn, you can simply pull your yarn. So here it is. If you can see from here, yarn over, and this is your working yarn. So we are actually holding up this space. So yarn over and pull your yarn through all of your these 7 loops, and this is your working yarn. So if you can find out the strain of yarn, this is your working yarn. So in case you forget to hold your yarn, this is your working yarn, and you need to insert your hook into your this space. So this one is your working yarn. If you will pull your yarn, you will understand that this is the space. This one is the yarn. So insert your hook into your this yarn, open up this yarn, pull up, here it is. Now yarn over and pull your yarn through that one strain of yarn. Here it is, and you're going to have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull your yarn through all 2 loops. So this is the trick. Now the pattern suggests to yarn over like this. So it's 1, 2, and 3, yarn over like this and hold your yarn. So pattern suggests to hold your yarn like this. But in case you forget to hold your yarn and you've simply been working like this, you don't need to worry. You can simply yarn over and pull your yarn like this, and you can find your this one strain here, insert your hook into this one strain here like this, yarn over, grab a yarn over and pull your yarn through 2 loops. So it's really very simple. It's not hard, but it's better if you can hold your yarn so that it will be easier for you to insert your hook. But in case you forget that, this is the trick, and here it is. Now go for as many puff stitches as you want. I'm gonna go up to my 15 puff stitches, and I'm gonna meet you after that. So here it is. I've done my this foundation puff stitches, and it's 15 stitches. And now for round number 1. Now for round number 1, we're gonna start working on this side. So for that, to reach up to our this height, we're gonna need 1 more puff stitch, but we will not finish our this puff stitch. So for that, just loosen up your work for 1 more time, yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch, grab a yarn over for 3 times, and here it is. You got your 7 loops on your hook. Now we're going to turn our work. So here we will turn like this. So here it is. We have just reached up to our this height, and now we will start working on this side. So we will start working on our this spaces in between this puff stitches. So for that, have your this puff stitch, do not finish your this puff stitch, and skip your this next puff stitch, and we will go to this space here. So we're going to insert our hook into this space, and here again we're going to yarn over for 3 times. So for that, yarn over and insert your hook into the space and grab a yarn. So it's 1, 2, and 3. Here it is. Now we will skip over this next puff stitch, and we will go to this space here, and we're going to insert our hook into the space, and we're going to have another yarn over here, so another puff stitch, but we're not going to finish up our puff stitch. So for that, yarn over and go to this space again and have your yarn overs. So it's 1, 2, and 3. Here it is. So here we got our this 3 puff stitches, and all 3 puff stitches are not finished. We haven't finished our stitches, and it looks like this. Now here, if you will count, you're going to have your 19 loops because we have yarn over for 3 times. So we got our this 19 loops here. And now again, we're going to hold our this working yarn with the help of our this thumb and our this finger, yarn over and spool your yarn through all of this loops, just like this. And again, we will create our this little loop here. We will insert our hook into our this loop and grab a yarn. You're going to have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and spool your yarn through 2 loops. And here it is. It looks like this. And now we will keep on working on our this side. We have our this single crochet here. Now here we're going to have 1 more puff stitch. So loosen up your work, yarn over and insert your hook into this single crochet and grab a yarn. We're going to yarn over for 3 times. So it's 1, 2, and 3. Here it is. And we are not going to finish over this puff stitch here. Now for our first stitch, we have our puff stitch, this one. Now as we are working on this side, we are going to count this as our this next puff stitch. So again, we're going to skip our this next puff stitch, and we will go to this space here. and we're going to insert our hook into this space. Now here again we're going to have 3 yarn overs and we will not finish up our stitch. So for that, yarn over and insert your hook into the space and grab a yarn. So it's 1, 2 and 3. Here it is. Now skip this next puff stitch and go to the space here, and we're going to have another 3 yarn overs here. So another puff stitch, and we're not going to finish our stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook into the space and grab a yarn. We're going to have 3 yarn overs here. So it's 1, 2 and 3. Here it is. And now if you will count, you're going to have your 19 loops on your this hook. And now we are again going to hold over this working yarn with the help of our this thumb and our this finger, and yarn over and pull your yarn through all of your this 19 loops, just like this. And this is your loop here. Insert your hook into this loop and grab a yarn over and pull your yarn through all of your this 2 loops. Here it is. Now in case you miss out your that 1 loop, let's try it again. Here, loosen up your work. Here it is. We're going to yarn over for 3 times into this space. So it's 1, 2 and 3. And remember, we are not going to finish our work. Go to this space. So skip your this next puff stitch. Go to this space here and have 3 yarn overs here. So it's 1, 2 and 3. Here it is. And we're going to skip over this next puff stitch as well, and we will go to this space, and here again we're going to have 3 yarn overs. So it's 1, 2 and 3. Here it is. Now if you have this 19 loops and you miss out your this hold, so for that simply just have your yarn over and pull your yarn through all of your this 19 loops, just like this. And now you're going to turn your work, and you can simply stretch this loop. So just stretch this loop and you're going to find out which is your yarn. So this yarn has been stretching here, if you can see. If you can see, that yarn has been stretching, this one. So insert your hook into this yarn here. Like this, and yarn over and grab your yarn through that loop. And here it is. Now yarn over and pull yarn through 2 loops here. So again, we're going to repeat our pattern. So for that, loosen up your work, yarn over, insert your hook into this space, grab a yarn. We're going to have 3 yarn overs here. So that's 2 and 3. We're going to skip over this next puff stitch, and we will go to this space here, and we will yarn over 3 times here again. So it's 1, 2 and 3. Again, we're going to skip over this next puff stitch, and we'll go to this space, and here again we're going to yarn over for 3 times. So it's 1, 2 and 3. Here it is. And now hold your this yarn and yarn over and pull your yarn through all of your this 19 loops, and insert your hook into this loop, grab a yarn over and pull your yarn through 2 loops. And here it is. Now keep on working on this pattern until you're this last space here, and I'm going to meet you here. So just keep on repeating this pattern, and I'm going to meet you at the end. Here it is. And here it is. I've worked on my this last gap, last space here. And now for our last stitch, again we're going to repeat our pattern. So for that, loosen up your work, your stitch, yarn over, insert your hook into the space and grab a yarn. I'm going to yarn over for 3 times. So it's 1, 2 and 3. Go to this same space, insert your hook and grab a yarn. So it's 1, 2 and 3. Here it is. And now we'll skip over this next puff stitch, and we will go to this foundation chain. So here it is. This is our chain. Remember, we have our chain 1 here. We're going to insert our hook into this chain 1. So here, yarn over for 3 times. So it's 1, 2 and 3. Here it is. And you're going to have 19 loops on your hook. Now hold your this yarn over and pull your yarn through all of your this 19 loops. Insert your hook into this loop and grab a yarn and have 1 single crochet here. And here it is. Your row number 1 is done. It's all here. Now for your row number 2, here we're gonna have chain 1 and we'll turn our work. So have a chain 1, turn your work, and now loosen up your work, loosen up your yarn, and we're gonna have one puff stitch here, only one puff stitch. So for that, just loosen up your work, yarn over for 3 times. So it's 1, 2, and 3. Hold your yarn, yarn over and pull your yarn through all 7 loops. Insert your hook, grab your yarn, and have one single crochet here. Now we got over this one puff stitch because we wanted to reach to our this height. And remember, we're going to repeat over this round number 2 all the way until our all required rows. So have your first this puff stitch, and now we will start working. So we are going to repeat the pattern now. So whatsoever we have done on our this row number 1, we are going to just repeat that on our this row number 2. So for that, just we are here and we're going to have one puff stitch here, second puff stitch here, and our third puff stitch here. We're going to create a cluster and we're going to work on it. So here it is. Loosen up your work for one more time and have one puff stitch here, and we are not going to finish over this stitch here. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over, go to this stitch, skip this next puff stitch, go to this space and have 3 yarn over. So it's 1, 2, and 3. So this is a second puff stitch. Skip this next puff stitch, go to this space and have 3 yarn overs here. So it's 1, 2, and 3. And this is your cluster of 3 puff stitches. Yarn over and pull your yarn through all of your this 19 loops, and here insert your hook into your this loop, grab a yarn and have your one single crochet. Here it is. Again, loosen up your work, yarn over, insert your hook into this space, grab a yarn over, insert your hook, grab a yarn, and that's your third yarn over. Here it is. We're not going to finish over this stitch. We will skip over this next puff stitch. We will go to this space and we're going to have another 3 yarn overs here. So it's 1, 2, and 3. So this is our next puff stitch. Again, we're going to skip over this next puff stitch and we'll go to this space and we're going to have 3 yarn overs here. So it's 1, 2, and 3. Here we're going to have 3 puff stitches here, yarn over and pull your yarn through all of this 19 loops. Here it is, and hold your this yarn, insert your hook into this yarn and grab a yarn and have one stitch here. Here it is. So now keep on continue repeating your pattern all the way until here, and I'm going to meet you here. And here it is. I'm at the end of my this row number 2, and now I'm here. So here got my this last stitch in here. This is my last space here. Now we're going to repeat our pattern for whatsoever we have done on our row number 1. So here we're going to have our one puff stitch here, second puff stitch here on this space, and our third puff stitch will be here on this space. So we're going to have our third puff stitch here. So for that, loosen up your work, yarn over 3 times. So it's 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over, go to this space and have 3 yarn over. So it's 1, 2, and 3. And now skip this next puff stitch and go to this space here, and here we're going to have 3 yarn over. So it's 1, 2, and 3. Here it is. And now we're going to hold over this yarn and yarn over and pull yarn through all of your this 19 loops. Here it is. And now insert your hook into the space, tighten up your work, grab a yarn and have one single crochet here. Here it is. And here it is. It looks like this. And now we're going to repeat over this row number 2 for our row number 3. So here again, have this yarn, chain 1, turn your work, and again loosen up your work. Loosen up your work and have 3 yarn overs here. So it's 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to have only one puff stitch here. So yarn over and pull yarn through all 7 loops. Insert your hook into this space and grab a yarn and have one single crochet here. And now keep on repeating your pattern for our this round. So again, you're going to have a cluster of 3 puff stitches. So your first puff stitch will be on top of this puff stitch, second one will be here, and your third one will be here. And now keep on repeating this pattern until your required length. I'm going to go up to some of the length and we'll meet you after that. And here it is. The jasmine stitch looks like this. Here it is, and it is the same from both the sides. And I hope you have liked my today's tutorial. If you have liked, please like, share and comment on my videos, and please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you into the next video. Till then, bye.